became the entry to the sad and violent world of drugs, something I had never considered using until I experienced homelessness. My makeshift babysitters, a group of alcoholic drug users with little respect for law or consequences. I fell into some mistakes, but fortunately they were short-lived. I returned to my hometown in Victoria, rural Victoria, with very little guidance from anyone, attempted to form a life and navigate the adult world. But past trauma that I tried to suppress was catching up with me, and at the age of 19, this became the catalyst for experiencing my first psychotic episode and attempting to end my own life. This was the mid-1990s and also led to my first experience with one of the last of the older styles hospitals. Very young, very scared, very confused, and very tormented. I spent the days, weeks and months in hospital plotting ways to escape the hospital, but also the world I had found myself in. When I was finally discharged, I was completely broken from the experience and became terrified of ever going back. So much so that I did not enter a hospital for 15 years. There were horrors I could not possibly describe in 5 minutes. I entered into a psychosocial rehabilitation program, which was relevant at the time, but had the potential to leave people quite static in their recovery. I wanted to enter university, but I was told that was too ambitious. I wanted to work, but I was too scared to disclose my illness. I became too frightened to engage in the general community and thought I was only able to interact with other mental health consumers. Eventually I was quite happy on my own, studying, cooking, reading, basically a quiet, peaceful life without the individuals and experiences of the past. I was not thriving, but I was alive. After surviving 15 years out of the system, my psychiatrist approved the cessation of some medication that had caused me to put on extreme amounts of weight. Unfortunately, without an alternative treatment and social isolation, I yet again fell into psychosis and entered the system. This time, electroconvulsive therapy or shock treatment was used. It seemed to be quite effective, but left me with some issues with parts of my memory. I slowly regained my sanity, but with symptoms that basically felt like psychological agony, a pain that most people cannot fathom. Eventually I returned to the nurturing arms of the city, a place that I have a love-hate relationship with, that at least has access to the support and services that I needed. Unfortunately, my illness was still with me, and I continued to endure frequent hospitalisation. My 2 decades of experience public mental health has shown me a system under extreme pressure. For example, the day after a suicide attempt, I was put into hospital. I was left alone without a single check for 8 hours. I was discharged 48 hours later. During that 8 hours, I plotted any and every way to end my own life. I was not offered any follow-up or referrals. My loving and supportive sister was also not offered any assistance. There are countless examples like these, too many to describe in 5 minutes. We have a system that at times cannot meet the needs of the individual. Perhaps this is because our society still doesn't understand mental illness, and in particular severe spectrum illnesses like schizophrenia, as though these experiences are in some way representative of a weakness or a character flaw. If our communities feel this way, then our decision makers are not inspired to invest or change its trajectory of neglect. It's a system that is to turn people away because it is that capacity, or turf out the least sick person in order to service the next crisis waiting at the door. I have a lot of respect for people who work in the mental health system, but the system as it is known needs to change so that people with a lived experience of mental illness, their family and friends are better supported to have better outcomes, not just resolution of symptoms, but better life outcomes. There are no easy answers to solving the problem. I know that, but there needs to be a dialogue between those who use the system, those who work in the system, and those who have the power to change the system. There needs to be open with the commitment to real change with real dollars. There needs to be genuine engagement with the surrounding systems, housing, education, trauma counselling, physical health. I want to have these needs met through entering one door, not having to beat down 50 different doors, or worse, staying inside, because it's all too hard. There needs to be action now. I'm a product of many things. I'm also a man responsible for my decisions, mistakes, and for my trusting nature, which has led me to more than one tragedy in my life. I have my own worst feelings and my saddest moments when all I can do is cry and just wish things were different. But I want more than what is currently on offer to me as a person with a lived experience of mental illness. I want to lead a life where I'm supported to engage meaningfully in the community, where I can access the services I need when my illness takes over, a system that supports me to stay well. I want hope. Isn't that what you want if it were you? Thank you.